Grade 10, Lesson 1, Validation versus Verification. Good day all and welcome to the first lesson of Grade 10. We will be looking at validation versus verification. Let's begin. The contents of this video. We will be defining data validation and verification. We will then be looking at how to achieve validation and verification. After this, we will look at some examples, specifically the South African ID number and apple pie. After that, we will look at the importance of validation and verification, and lastly, the references. Let's define data validation and verification. So, validation. Validation can be automatically checked. In other words, a computer can check if the given data is valid, whereas verification usually has to be checked by a human. Verification checks if the given data is correct. Let's look at how to achieve validation. Validation is when you define a set of rules that the data needs to conform to. Examples of such rules are a range check for numbers. For example, a single number has to be in the range of 0 to 9. Another example is a range check for single letters. For example, if I want a letter to be a vowel, I know it has to be one of the following: A, E, I, O, U. We can use the length of data to check if it's valid. For example, a postal code has 4 digits, for example 0015. We can also look at using cross checks. For example, check if the given age and gender corresponds with the given ID number. Lastly, we can also use multiple input checks. For example, ask the user to enter the data twice, compare the given data, and check if it is correct. Let's look at how you would achieve verification. As stated previously, verification is not easy to achieve, as humans usually have to check if the given data is correct. Thus, the person entering the data has to use their own reasoning skills to determine if the given data is correct. Let's look at some examples, specifically the South African ID number. The structure of the South African ID number. The first 6 digits contain the date of birth in the format of YYMMDD. The next 4 contain the gender, where 000 to 4999 is female, 5000 to 9999 is male. The next digit is the citizen status of the person, 1 being permanent, 0 being a citizen. The last 2 digits are used as check bits. You can ignore that for this video. Let's look at some examples. So the user has given us the following information. They were born on the 6th of the 8th of 2010. They are female, they are a permanent citizen, and they have that ID number. Let's look at validation. We can extract the following information. Their date of birth is the 10 of the 08 is the 06. That corresponds to the given date of birth. Their gender is correct, as the 4800 falls into the female category, and we can see that they are a citizen, which means they are permanent, which corresponds to their given information. Let's look at verification. The above picture is a picture of the user. They appear to be in their teens, in other words, between 10 and 18. We also see that the user is female. Thus, the given data is valid and appears to be correct. Let's look at another example. We get the following information from a user. Their date of birth is the 24th of the 7th, 1999. They are female, they are permanent, and there is their given ID number. Let's look at the validation. We see that the given birth date is 99/99/99. Which is kind of like impossible, as you cannot be born on the 99th of the 99th month. Their gender is 4800, which falls into the female category, and they say they are a citizen, but clearly they stated that they are permanent. Thus, the data is invalid. Let's look at verification. The above is a picture of the user. The user appears to be in his mid-20s, which doesn't totally correspond with their given date of birth, and the user appears to be male, which is incorrect as they stated they are female. Thus, the data is not the same as given for both cases. Thus, we can conclude that the given data appears to be invalid and incorrect. Let's look at the apple pie example. We want to order an apple pie at the local bakery. We know that for a pie to be an apple pie, it needs to be the following. It has to have apple in the middle, has to have a thin base, has to have dough on top. Let's look at the first example. There's a picture of an apple pie in the corner. So validation. The above picture has got apple in the middle, it has a thin base as can see by the back, and has dough on top. Verification. The pie does taste like apple pie as well as it looks like apple pie. Thus we can conclude that the pie is a valid apple pie and it is a correct apple pie. Let's look at the next example. There's our apple pie on the top. Let's look at the validation. Our pie has got the apple in the middle, has a thin base, and has got dough on top. Let's look at the verification. The pie does not look like an apple pie, nor does it taste like an apple pie. Thus we can conclude that the pie is valid as an apple pie, but it is not correct as an apple pie. Let's now look at the importance of validation and verification. Why is this important? Data validation ensures that the data is valid according to the given set of rules, where verification ensures the data is correct. The greater the validation of the data, the more reliable the data will be. The greater the verification of the data, the more accurate the data will be. Thus, as the validation and verification of the data increases, the correctness and validity of the data, the program will compute a more reliable and accurate answer. Lastly, let's have a look at the references used in this video.